Hello everybody, here's what's coming up tonight on Now. Between 5 and 10 minutes. That's how long a 7th grader was underwater before a lifeguard even knew there was a problem. That's according to Maine State Parks.
Somebody should have been in that water far sooner than they were trying to find that kid.
But a child can drown in less than a minute. What parents need to know about water safety.
And have a passion for potato chips? Well, we have the job for you.
Yeah, Bob. This is News Center Now.
113 middle school students went to Rang Pond on a field trip yesterday. One of them did not come home, an absolute nightmare for any parent. Hello everybody, I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Lindsay Mills. On that field trip, there was one adult for every 10 kids. That's a standard ratio, but is it enough? Could anything have been done to prevent the death of Rayan Issa? Those are just some of the questions being asked today.
Along with the sadness surrounding the untimely death of 13-year-old Rayan Issa comes frustration and anger and lots of questions.
Personally, I think it could have been prevented. I don't know where the supervision was, and I don't think EMS handled it very well. The lifeguard never got in the water. Somebody should have been in that water far sooner than they were trying to find that kid.
Comment after comment flooded social media with witnesses and Lewiston Middle School students themselves talking about how, in their opinion, it took too long for help to arrive after Rayan went under the water. John Bott, spokesman for the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry, told News Center Maine that it took 5 to 10 minutes from the time the youth went underwater to when the lifeguard was notified that there was a missing person last seen in the water. 5 to 10 minutes. That's not the report that was given to Lewiston Superintendent Bill Webster when he arrived on the scene.
His classmates immediately notified staff and the lifeguard, and a search was quickly commenced.
Alexis Karen was at Rang Pond when this happened.
I mean, it was so very nonchalant. There was no screams. There was no signs of panic. There was nothing. And prior to that, the teachers were all sitting in their lawn chairs, and there was no organization. There was kids all over the beach. And I know accidents happen, but this could have been avoided.
Now, Superintendent Webster told us that the district has hired a law firm to conduct an investigation as to what happened and what, if any, mistakes might have been made. That's on top of the investigation being headed up by the Androscoggin County Sheriff's Department.
Now, this is obviously a terribly sad story, and we wanted to know what parents can do to prevent a tragedy like this from happening to their children. So we went to a local water park to talk to a safety expert. And when we got there, we discovered several of Rayan's classmates were at Funtown Splashtown for a different field trip at the moment he drowned.
Anytime you see a tragedy like this with a young person, it's just not right.
The sad news hit close to home for Corey Hutchinson on several levels.
Of course, I'm here running a business that's surrounded by water, number one. Number two, I'm a parent, and I've been on a chaperone on field trips before. So not only am I feeling it from a level of these poor parents that had to have a phone call made to them, but what about these other parents and people that were there?
Lewiston Middle School students were on 2 field trips. One group went to the Saco Water Park. They would later discover one of their classmates didn't return home from the other field trip at Rang Pond. Rayan Issa drowned days after Olympic skier Bodie Miller's 19-month-old daughter died after wandering into a pool. About 10 people die every day from accidental drowning, according to the CDC. Many of those are children. Hutchinson has dedicated his life's work to water safety and offers the following advice to families going to the pool, lake, or beach this summer. 1. No horseplay. 2. Someone outside of the water needs to be watching, always. And 3. Use the buddy system.
It takes literally the blink of an eye for someone to swallow some water, be at the bottom of a pool or a lake or a pond for, 2 minutes. You could have a massive tragedy on your hands.
And some of you are joining the conversation right now on our Facebook live stream for this show. Tyler says keep pool toys out of the pool. Always have layers around the pool. In Virginia, Lisa says the facts need to be heard. Can't change something if you talk about it. Just hoping the poor family can avoid this for a while. And on the other side of things, Deborah says it's already a terrible accident. No need to make it worse now with this. And of course, we will continue to update this story. The Lewiston superintendent says all water-related school activities have been canceled for the time being. And we have more on this story at our website and mobile app.
So if you looked outside today, you'll see the clouds rolling in just a little bit, and that could be a sign of what is in our immediate future. KC, tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, you know, the shower is about 3.5 hours behind. So for a lot of people, it was a nice, pleasant day and warm. 82 in Portland, 78 in Wiscasset, 84 in Lewiston and Augusta. Temperatures now cooler over southern and western Maine. Rain cooled as showers finally starting to move in. Again, way behind schedule. Most of them look like they were going to move in around noon. It's taken until 4:30 or so to get them in there. Across York County, a couple of showers, a few showers in the mountains, and across Aroostook County as well. Most of these, though, on the light side. The main thing they're going to do is cool us down for the rest of tonight, but the humidity will stay in the air until tomorrow morning, and that's the dew point being relatively high still at this point. So showers, storms, there is a line of thunderstorms back across upstate New York that's going to try to get in here after midnight, but I think at that point it'll be hard for them to be all that well put together. So a rumble of thunder is a possibility. Tomorrow morning we open with sunshine along the coastline, showers in the mountains, and then an isolated sprinkle later in the day along the coast as those showers in the front move through. After that, we're in good shape for Friday and into the weekend. The story, though, for the weekend and thereafter will be the heat. We'll talk details about that in a few minutes.
Will Jared Golden clinch the Democratic nomination for Maine's 2nd District without going into a second round of ranked choice voting? The veteran is teetering on the line of 50% while the numbers from the final precincts are crawling in. Golden right now is about 8 points ahead of his closest competitor, Lucas St. Clair.
But on the other side of the aisle, Republicans already know who will lead them on their quest to keep the Blaine House. Businessman Sean Moody had a clear majority last night, holding off a second round of ballot counting.
It's going to be a much longer wait for the Democrats, though. Attorney General Janet Mills is leading the pack in last night's primary results, but at about 33%, she is far from a majority. The second round of ranked choice counting won't even start until tomorrow.
But the time for complaining about ranked choice delays may be over. Question 1 reaffirmed Mainers' choice to use the instant runoff system. 54% voted to keep ranked choice voting.
So that's the news in our state, but a ballot question in California has a lot of people saying,
this today.
What? California?
Okay, real quick fun fact, I'm originally from San Diego, California, and I don't know what my opinion is on this.
Well,
what do you guys think?
Maybe we should tell them first.
Yeah, exactly.
California could become 3 states.
Exactly.
The ballot question was approved for November. If the proposal passes, this is what the new map would look like. Northern California, Southern California, and California. If the measure passes, Congress would still need to approve it. A recent poll from Survey USA found that voters were not in favor of splitting the state.
You know what they
What
left
say
out, though?
you?
Well, they left out Maine Diego. That could be a 4th state.
She gets me.
Keith wasn't listening. Keith says don't encourage him. Okay, duly noted. Well, some Americans were stressed out last night watching the primary results come in. Others were stressed because they were watching this little raccoon scale a skyscraper. Say that 6 times fast.
Hashtag NPR Raccoon coming up. And
a Maine-based potato chip company that specializes in small batch potato chips is hiring, and here are a couple of their flavors. Cookout, Maine maple sugar, and Thankful. Tastes like Thanksgiving stuffing. They're hiring. We'll take you inside the kitchen ahead.
this has happened to everyone. I feel like mostly people on the Now team. But you're scrolling through Facebook, you find a random live video, you just can't stop watching it, like April, the giraffe, which was obsessive around here.
I know. Okay, well, lots of people here at News Center like to watch car chases, but last night, the little raccoon who could captured the attention of the internet. It started on Sunday when the animal was spotted on the ledge of a public office building in St. Paul, Minnesota.
After 2 days without food or water, maintenance decided to rescue the raccoon, but she got spooked and started scaling the skyscraper next door. That sounds like the title of a children's book, Scaling the Skyscraper. Anyway, don't try that at home. People of the internet watched with bated breath, hoping and praying the little animal wouldn't fall. Then the hashtag NPR raccoon, of course, was born.
So she paused to take a nap on the 23rd floor yesterday, because who wouldn't, and then continued her journey. Everybody was brainstorming ways to maybe save her. One man even tried to fly a drone up to get her, but the wind was too strong. Finally, the building decided the best that it could do was try to lure the raccoon into a trap using cat food, but first she had to make it to the roof around 2:30 in the morning. She made it. Now people across the country are breathing a huge sigh of relief and celebrating her success.
And she will be released back into the wild, back into a life of being anonymous, while her many fans wish her well. And in case you were wondering, yes, someone has already made a Twitter account for NPR Raccoon.
So obviously yesterday was election day in our state. You guys cast a lot of really important ballots. Probably none as important as this. This is a very important decision. Who is the more fearless climber? Hashtag NPR Raccoon, or the man who tried to scale hashtag Trump Tower using suction cups?
Yes.
We're debating this right now, really, live on our Facebook and YouTube streams. So come on over and join the ridiculous conversation.
Yeah, why not have a little fun?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, very real threat to our fishing industry, fear-mongering or very real threat. We get to the bottom of Maine's warming waters coming up in Braindrops.
But before that, Keith has a job, his maybe first job, which is forecasting your weather. It's coming up.
Have you ever said, I wish I was a taste tester? Well, a potato chip company in Maine is hiring 2 positions, and eating the product is encouraged.
Well, it was good working with you, because I am going to go take one of those jobs.
I was going to say, not if
Now,
I get there first.
Obviously, in moderation, Clay Gordon takes us inside the Maine Vintage Kitchen.
Bell Farms out of Lewiston, delivering hundreds of pounds of potatoes to Maine Vintage Kitchen. This potato pallet will be turned into chips in about a week. But before it is in stores across New England, it has to be washed and sliced. Then fried, seasoned, weighed, and bagged.
It's booming, and we're looking for more hands on deck for making the chips. More wedding orders, more shipping orders.
Scott and Kelly Brodeur own the small batch potato chip company in Freeport and say they may need to find a bigger space to keep up with orders and more workers, such as a cook.
Square into the fryer. Okay. Just like that, you just drop it.
Do you feel like you kind of do a lot of taste test measures here?
I do. That's one of the perks of the job, and we also ask that the baggers do that too, to keep the sort of the cook honest with the flavoring.
It's my turn to see if I can take the heat.
There you go. Turn it and use the bottom of it and push down. Nice job.
I'm nervous.
On the rack it cools, and then it goes to the bagger.
Excellent.
They are also looking for a bagger.
It's important that you only handle the chips with one of those hands, because if you handle the chips with both hands, then you're going to get an oily hand on the bag.
You don't want that.
And we don't want that.
You try to take multiple at the same time? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think one at a time would take forever.
It would, yes.
Especially when you guys have things to do.
Right. Like 600 more bags.
600 more bags?
The Brodeurs weren't always in the chip biz, but they always kept the idea on the back burner.
We kind of had it as a someday for a really long time.
And if you're looking to cash in your chips at your current job, then the someday and sometime is right now. In Freeport, Clay Gordon.
Ruined it.
News Center, Maine.
Maine Vintage Kitchen has unbelievable flavors. Cookout, Maine maple sugar, and Thankful, which tastes like Thanksgiving stuffing. The company launched its larger bags last week. Clay brought some home after his story. OMG.
Exactly, with
I
capital
need to
letters.
taste test more of those.
Exactly. Okay, so if this is the career for you, check out the Now section of our website, where you can see the Now hiring segments we have already posted there, including this one.
I don't think Clay's going to make it because he was bagging those chips one at a time there.
Like, seriously, it's just like 1, 2. Come on, let's go.
This is
get in my belly.
I bet the professionals do it much faster. But all right, so today actually turned out a little bit nicer than we thought. The shower's just now rolling into the state, so most of us in good shape. But it is going to cool us down a bit because it was warm, it was humid. It was in the mid-80s in a lot of spots. Here are the showers, though, starting to roll into southern Maine. As I mentioned, several hours behind schedule. It looked like they were going to move in around noon, and obviously 4:30 or so is when they started to move in. Check this out. This is a cool little nerd feature here. See that right there? This is actually the radar picking up on an air mass change, a backdoor cold front that's working down towards Millinocket. And we know that because when you look at the temperatures, look at it. It is so much cooler to the north of Millinocket. It's 69 in Houlton, 59 in Caribou, and 83 in Millinocket. So that cooler air is trying to backdoor down from northern Maine. You don't often see it that clearly on the radar. I'm sure nobody cares but me, but I think it's really cool regardless. Jess cares too. I know she was really excited about it. Showers and storms stretching all the way back into upstate New York. A lot of these, though, will fizzle out before they get into Maine later tonight. So scattered showers, temperatures stay relatively mild in most spots through the evening in the 60s, even by early tomorrow morning, and around 70 here at 2 a.m. So this is an air conditioning kind of night. Thunderstorms a possibility, but a lot of them do die out before they get here. By tomorrow morning, we've got partly cloudy conditions, showers and storms largely in the mountains, and then those eventually work towards the coastline by tomorrow afternoon. After that, we're done with the showers, start clearing out, and Friday we should be cleared out by mid-morning at the latest. After that, it's all about the warmth building in the plains and then crashing back down across the northeast on Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday. It will be warm through the weekend. Mid-80s and then upper 80s at times. Monday's really interesting because there will be thunderstorms, and it will be a small spatial area, probably a third or so of the state, that has the potential to be in the mid-90s though. So it could be very warm for a small portion of the state on Monday. Obviously, we'll nail that down as we get a little bit closer.
All right, well, you know, we're always paying attention to our Facebook comments for our live feed and our YouTube comments. And Vicky chimes in and says, Keith, I think you should wear a tie. Vicky, I could not agree more.
I noticed
Keith
you have
should
one
definitely
today.
wear a tie.
I tried it one time.
What is the matter with you?
And it's Lee's look.
Social listening.
All right.
Social listening.
All right, here, let's take a look at what's coming up on News Center Maine at 5:30. He's won his first election, but businessman Sean Moody still has to convince Mainers outside his party that he's the best choice for governor. We speak with the GOP nominee.
And 2 boys leapt from a burning building into the arms of a waiting police officer. That story coming up straight ahead.
We'll be right back.
We're going to start by taking a look at the most basic part of all of this, right? Temperature anomalies in the Gulf of Maine, and what do you see in this trend in this chart?
So when you look at the temperature anomalies in the Gulf of Maine, and this is the average relative to 1982 through 2011, you see that in the in the 80s and 90s, the Gulf of Maine, you see a lot of variability, and we're actually one of the most variable places on the planet in terms of a piece of the ocean. But then in 1999, we take a little bit of a jump up, and it's variable again, but at kind of a higher level. But then from 2004, really up until the present, we've just had warm year after warm year, with 2012 being the warmest year ever for us on record.
And of course, with a line fit there, it's an upward trend. If we add another line to this, a dotted line that you'll see on this graphic, now we're talking about that's the global average for the rest of the oceans, and it's obviously much above in the Gulf of Maine.
Yeah, so you see, when you fit these trend lines, you see that the Gulf of Maine is warming at about 4 times the average rate of the global ocean. So it makes us one of the fastest warming places in the planet.
We're looking at sea surface temperature anomalies, and there's quite a bit of red here across parts of the Northeast.
Yeah, so the red areas are showing places where we're above the 1982 through 2011 average for this time of year. So you see that most of the Gulf of Maine is running warm, and that we have this really big tongue of really warm water that's coming in the eastern part of the Gulf of Maine. And that's been really pushing in all throughout this winter and on into the spring, and is a big reason why the Gulf of Maine is so much warmer right now this year than it has been.
I have the pleasure of interacting with people who are skeptics, I should say, about climate change, which obviously is implicit to all of what we've talked about today. This is a meme that was posted on my Facebook wall. Unfortunately, I've seen it more than once. Being in Maine, doing work in the Gulf of Maine, how does this hit you, the idea that this is a big conspiracy?
Well, as a scientist, science is ultimately resistant to conspiracies because our job is to really root them out. So if you come up with a hypothesis and I don't think there's evidence to support it, I'm going to come after you and I'm going to figure it out. And that's what's been going on in the scientific literature for generations. And so with something like global warming, we can actually trace the idea that carbon dioxide leads to warming in the atmosphere back to work that people were talking about in the late 1800s, the early 1900s, really important work in the 1950s. And one of the really great signs that you have a theory that's good, that's credible, that actually reflects what's going on in nature is if you can use it to make predictions. And the warming that we've experienced over the last few years is very much in line with predictions that people were making in the early 1980s.
The idea, too, of course, of being on the take is kind of interesting when you think about where the money might lie on either side, right? So I don't think there's too much money. You know, you have grant money, people are doing research, but someone, if they could blow global warming out of the water on the man-made side, I would imagine there'd be a lot of grant money to be had on that side as well.
There certainly would be, and there's also, you would get a ton of prestige, right? If you took a major theory like the theory that, you know, of global warming and anthropogenic climate change, and you came up with the smoking gun that said that that wasn't true, that would be a huge contribution and you would be a scientific hero. And the fact that we haven't found that yet, despite a lot of people looking over generations, in fact, of science, means that it's probably not out there. The scientific story around climate change is really, really solid.
So thanks to Andy for helping us with that. A great resource there. What do you have to say? You got something?
I want to be the scientific hero. Yeah.
With the cape.
Yeah.
And everything.
I mean, not necessarily on climate change. In general. Just in general, I want a big cape.
If that happens,
SH.
That'll be the day, my friend.
Scientific hero.
I'd be lying if I said I wasn't concerned about it, you know?
Of course.
Something to think about.
All right,
Okay.
kids. New Center 5:30 starts right now.